Thank you very much, Liz. My name is Julian Bolton, and thank you for coming to see RedCandy Games over the Blink-182 concert that I missed on. I guess we are kind of the new indie group, the new kind of indie band where you can get together with a group of friends and you can kind of riff and create cool stuff that people can identify with. So let me go over some of the topics we're going to speak about tonight. And first I'll go over the team, the company, the game, the opportunity, the plan, development, marketing, distribution, and finally I'll sum it all up for you guys. And hopefully you can take something away from our experience. So as I said, I'm Julian Bolton. I'm CEO of RedCandy Games and lead artist. I am going for my master's right now at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. My undergrad was in electronic arts, and within that degree I dabbled in computer science, various forms of art and animation, and I also studied management. And now I'm going for my master's in technology, commercialization, and entrepreneurship. So it ties into what I'm doing at RedCandy, and it's very helpful.
Hey guys, my name's Zach. I was the lead programmer for this game. I'm currently a senior computer science major at RPI. Yeah, I don't know how much more introduction you want to do, but I can't do an intro like him. But
My name is Jeff Dennis. I'm also a programmer on the game. I'm a senior at RPI, dual majoring in electrical computer engineering, and then pursuing my master's also in electrical computer engineering. So my relevant experience is the basic computer science courses you take as an undergrad in electrical engineering, computer engineering, just a couple classes, and then just basically the analytical thinking problem solving you need to actually apply in class.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey Wright. I'm a lead game designer. I was actually just hired recently to help with primarily the next game in the series as well. I've primarily been studying computer science, but also I've been taking a lot of courses in game design and game development as I've started at RPI, and so that's primarily where my experience lies.
So let me talk a little bit about the company first. So we are a real company. We're legitimate. We were an LLC. I know someone questioned that earlier. We are an LLC founded in Delaware for tax purposes. We released Tick Part 1 for XBLIG on June 22nd of this year. And since then, we've been featured in GamePro Magazine, G4 TV. You guys know Adam Sessler, I'm sure. Fabulous show. Joystick, Kotaku. So we got some good press from this first release. And we won second prize recently in Microsoft's Dream Build Play competition. So that helped finance us by $10,000, and we're now talking to them with a possible opportunity for a publishing contract on Xbox Live Arcade. So the game, Tick Part 1, is part 1 of a 2D action platform. And it's meant to be a series or an episodic type game where you control a robot, where you can hover, drill, unicycle. It has very simple, intuitive, addictive play mechanics, akin to Donkey Kong, Mario. Charming story, unique art style. Very simple kind of theme where you stop people for the oil mining capitalist robots from space. So, looking back at BP oil spill, there's some inspiration. We don't have a liberal agenda, but restore peace to the Pineville Meadow and replenish Copperville's oil well. And it's available now on Xbox Live Indie Games for 240 Microsoft points. So if you haven't already, do check it out, at least try it and demo. So the opportunity, before we even started beginning the game, we needed to have a sense of kind of what opportunities are out there. Where can we stand out? Where can we make something that hasn't necessarily been done before? So there have been many indie success stories in the recent past, where we look at Minecraft, we look at a guy like James Silva who makes games out of his garage, and they're successful, selling hundreds of thousands of copies on Xbox Live Indie Games. I made a game with zombies comes to mind. So there have been lots of indie success stories, and this was just kind of an inspiration for us, and kind of saying, we can put together a small team and actually compete with the bigger guys. Another opportunity was self-publishing. Until recently, you couldn't publish your game without some kind of publisher backing. Publishers usually provide services such as marketing, distribution, as well as numerous other jobs. So basically, self-publishing allows you to publish your game to the service without any intermediary. So if you were to write a book, you wouldn't have to give it to a publisher, get approved, signed, for business reasons, somebody couldn't reject you. Self-publishing, you can just put it out there. Digital distribution, like I already mentioned, Xbox RedCandy Games is a great example. And this digital distribution ultimately has enabled new business models. And these new business models are different from the retail, create it and then ship it methodology. With new business models, you can kind of adapt a series over time. You look at a lot of social games today, and they're looking at analytics and they're evolving the game, and they're monetizing through premium content, which is basically they'll give the game, and then they'll charge for future DLC you might purchase through the game. So new business models with knowledge. And there's also the implications of this digital distribution and self-publishing. It's low risk, and you can be highly innovative. So the idea, going back to digital distribution, self-publishing, the idea was serial games, gaming snacks, short, gratifying experiences. So hence the name RedCandy, gaming sweets, if you will. They're low cost, they're quick time to market. I think I spent $100 putting together this game. The only barrier to entry was getting the App Hub subscription to actually publish it on the service.
And we all work for free.
Yeah. Well, free is relative. They got great experience, and actually they all were given a portion of equity and royalties on the front end. Now just stop touching the presentation. So, build the brand, get noticed. That was part of the idea. This was a proof of concept. We weren't going to make the next Halo, but we were going to get our name out there. We were going to get people to see what we're capable of as a team and where we can stand out, and we're just going to put it out there. We're not going to make $1 million, but hopefully we'll get a lot of downloads. Games as an emerging art form. So it's kind of going away from that retail model of having to do all these really intense analytics. There are, market niches emerging where you can be a little more creative. You don't have to create Madden for the masses. You can create artwork for a smaller audience and still be sustainable. And the idea also is bridge the gap. I worked at Marvel Comics. I worked at Ubisoft. And I saw an opportunity to kind of blend certain aspects of both comics, TV, games. Digital distribution and self-publishing has eliminated the barriers to creating an episodic and a serial experience where you can follow the characters across the string. It's more games as a service model now than games as just one full release with a series of sequels. And inspiration for this project, actually, it came to me while I was in animation class. I did a really quirky 2-minute animation, and I liked the art style. And from that, the idea was born. I didn't do intensive, extensive market research. I had a cool idea that people seemed to enjoy, and we were able to build it. So the plan. The first thing you have to realize is you really can't build a good game on yourself. I mean, there are exceptions to the rule. The guy who did Minecraft, but he still has 6 or 7 guys working with him, building out. So I had to build a team. I had to recruit. And in order to do this, I had to establish trust. I had to go through certain networks. You probably have a guidance counselor who has an email list to every other student in your school. So I created a job description, and I sent it out. Trying to look legitimate, trying to look real. Win people over, sell the vision, and bring people on. They have to believe in the project you're doing. And you might think it's a really good idea, but you have to convince the other person why it's a good idea. And that's not always easy. And you have to appeal to that person's. If they're a programmer what they're going to find interesting or good is not going to be the same as an artist on the project or a musician. So you have to sell to that individual person. And also, if you really want a game that's not going to ruin relationships and friendships, you have to protect the IP. Up front, you have to discuss, I get this percentage, you get this percentage. It's a negotiation process, and there's compromises. And nobody's going to want to work on a game that you're going to take all the credit for. So you have to be willing to give some of that up, some of that ownership, if you really want to get it off the ground. So define a relationship, protect the IP, refine a concept. You can have a really cool idea in your head, but if you really want people to buy into it, you have to put it down on paper. You have to communicate it well, and you have to make sure they understand what you're saying. Because honestly, if you're not a good communicator, if you can't get the idea across, it's very hard to build a concept. So going off of that, you have to set your goals. What are you working for? What are you working for? Are you just doing this as a class project? If you're just doing it as a class project, maybe you're doing it to learn a new tool set, or you're trying some new gameplay mechanics out. But if you set your goals up front and say, I want to release this, you have to set variables X, Y, and Z, and you have to set objectives. And if you want to take it to market, you have to know how you're going to get there, and you're going to have to do a little bit of homework. So development, getting started. So leading the team. What we found worked is we had digital kind of remote work environments. Skype, Facebook chat. These were all, we had a virtual office, Dropbox. We had the clouds, we had a virtual office that we could all congregate by. We didn't have to be in one centralized location, although it's good to have meetings every once a week. Find a good space where you guys can all get together and just kind of review progress, where you're at, where you're going. So you have to lead, you have to be a leader, and through whatever vehicle that is, whether it's Skype, email, Dropbox, you have to be able to manage the project. So delegating, this goes hand with recruiting. Make sure you have specific roles defined. Make sure there are artists, programmers, musicians, people. Don't try to do it all. It's really hard to do it all, and you're probably not focusing on the bigger picture if you're trying to learn every aspect of it. So set the scope. This is really a high-level thinking aspect. Really know the scope of the project. You could have a collection. When you do your GDD, you could have a collection of ideas and features. But unless you actually set the scope and kind of look at it from high level, look at it, your level's okay, you've got your modules, set your modules out, and then start filling in the details. Work from more abstract to less abstract. From high to low, the bigger picture to the smaller picture. And I'll let Zach talk a little bit about
So
tool set.
who here is familiar with XNA? So XNA is a package that Microsoft gives any developer and runs with C#. That's what we use to create our game. The great thing about XNA is that we can use the same code to go to PC, Xbox, and Windows Phone 7 with minor modifications. Kind of like what I realized is, when you take classes in college, you're definitely going to learn how to use some pretty powerful tool sets, but a lot of times you might learn how to use OpenGL to do very basic things. But you don't want to start there. You really want to start with something solid like XNA. And it'll just give you a good platform to get going. There's a ton of tutorials. We actually started our game just by taking the platform tutorial they have online and just adding a tick to it. And that's really how the game got started. So yeah, that's definitely a great tool set to use. And throughout using XNA, we kind of built our own tool set, and we'll show you when we do some demos. We created this tool called Jawbreaker, which is pretty much just our kind of asset manager, terrain, all of the essentials for games. We'll demo that when we get around to it.